Jai Hind students, welcome to my YouTube channel. Student, success occurs when your dreams get bigger than your excuses. So, never ever make any excuses. Instead, try to rectify your mistakes and keep marching ahead and progressing forward.
Okay students, now in this session, let's try to attempt these numericals based on EMI, that is electromagnetic induction. So let's begin with the first question. The first question is, the magnetic flux through a coil is varying according to the relation phi equals to 5t cube plus 4t square plus 2t minus 5, and the magnetic flux is given in Weber. We are supposed to calculate the induced current through the coil at the instant t equals to 2 seconds. If the resistance of the coil is 5 ohm, right? So, we know that phi, it is given to be 5t cube plus 4t square plus 2t minus 5. This is given. Now, let's find out the differentiation of flux with respect to time, right? So, it will be equal to 5 t cube. The differentiation of t cube is 3t square plus 4. The differentiation of t square with respect to 2 is twice t plus 2. dt by dt is 1 and the differentiation of constant is 0. So what we get is 15t square plus 8t plus 2, right? So let's find out the value of time rate change in the magnetic flux at the instant t equals to 2 seconds. So that will give us 15 into square of 2 plus 8 into 2 plus 2. That will give us 60 plus 16 plus 2. That is 78 volts in SI. Right? d phi by dt. Now look. The induced EMF in magnitude is given by the time rate change in the magnetic flux. So therefore, the induced EMF at the instant t equals to 2 seconds, its magnitude would be given by 78 volts. Right? This is what we have calculated over here. Now students, the induced current, its magnitude would be equal to magnitude of induced EMF divided by the resistance offered by the coil. So that will give us 78 divided by 5, isn't it? So it will give us 15.6 ampere. So this is the answer. This is the induced current through the coil at the instant t equals to 2 seconds. Now here I must state that the induced EMF and the induced current both are of opposing nature, right? So if the flux through the coil is decreasing, then the direction of the induced current will be such that it will oppose the decreasing magnetic flux. And if the flux through the coil is increasing, then the direction of the induced current will be such that it will oppose the increase in the magnetic flux. So induced EMF and induced current both are always of opposing nature. And in magnitude, the induced current is found to be 15.6 ampere. Now students, let's try to attempt the next question, which is a very important one. An aeroplane is traveling west at a speed of 500 meter per second. Okay, the velocity of the aeroplane is given to be 500 meter per second. We are supposed to find out the PD, potential difference, developed between the ends of the wing, 25 meter long. So length is to be considered as 25 meter. If the Earth's magnetic field at the location has a magnitude of 5 into 10 to minus 4 Tesla, this is the Earth's total magnetic field. It is given to be 5 into 10 raised to power minus 4 Tesla. And at that place, the dip angle is given to be 30 degree, right? So this is a plane basically. This is suppose a plane moving towards west, right? It is moving towards west, and the separation between the wings, it is given to be 25 centimeter, right? So the PD will be developed across these two ends. Now the magnetic field, in case of motional EMF, the magnetic field is to be perpendicular to this length, right? So the vertical component of the magnetic field is to be considered, which is perpendicular. This is the perpendicular magnetic field. So BV is to be considered, which is perpendicular to the length of the wings, right? So here the motional EMF, it is given by BVL. Now these two, students, always remember, these two, it should be always perpendicular to each other. So this must be the vertical component, right? Suppose this is the Earth's magnetic field, right? This is the Earth's total magnetic field. This is B. So it can be resolved into two components. This is the horizontal along the ground. So the angle which the Earth's total magnetic field makes to the horizontal, that is known as angle of dip. And this component is known as horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field. While this perpendicular component, it is known as the vertical component of Earth's magnetic field. So BV, which is the vertical component of the Earth's magnetic field, is perpendicular to the Earth's surface, obviously. So it will be perpendicular to the velocity vector of the aeroplane, and it will be perpendicular to the wings, plane of the wings, right? So here B, magnetic field, it is the vertical component of the Earth's magnetic field. And we are aware, vertical component of the Earth's magnetic field would be, if you resolve this B into two perpendicular components, then BH would be equal to B cos del, while BV, it will be equal to B sin del, right? So BV is equal to B sin del. Clear, students? Therefore, let's find out the PD which is developed across the ends of the wing. So it will be equal to BV, it will be B sin del V into L. So let's try to solve it. The strength of the magnetic field is going to be 5 into 10 to the power minus 4. Then del is given to be 30 degrees. Sin 30 is half. The velocity with which the plane is traveling towards west, it is given to be 500. And the length of the wings, that is given to be 25 meter. So let's try to solve it, right? So what we get is 5, 25 into 25, it will give us 625. Look, 5 into 5, that will give us 25, 625 divided by 2. Multiplied by, over here it is 10 to minus 4 and it is 10 to the power 2. So we'll be left with 10 raised to the power minus 2, right? So that will give us 312.5 into 10 raised to the power minus 2 volt. Or students, it may be written as 3.125 volts. So this is the potential difference which will get established between the ends of the wing, which is 25 meter long. Now let's attempt question number 3. It's again a very interesting question. As per the question, this is a square metallic wire loop of side 10 centimeter and it offers a resistance of 1 ohm and it is moved with a constant velocity under the influence of perpendicular magnetic field of 2 Tesla. The magnetic field is obviously given to be perpendicular to the plane of the paper of the loop, right? This cross, it indicates the perpendicular magnetic field directed inwards. The loop is connected to a network of resistance, each of value 3 ohm. Well, this is the square loop and it is connected to a network of resistances. Each of these resistances, 5 resistances, each has value of 3 ohm. Now the resistance of the lead wires PB and QA, it is negligible. the resistance offered by the wire PB and the wire QA, it is considered to be negligible. So the net resistance is the resistance offered by this network and the resistance offered by this square loop, which is given to be 1 ohm, right? So in this question, what we are supposed to do is, we are supposed to find out the speed of the loop. This is to be found, the speed of the loop, right? So as to have a steady current of 1 milliampere in the loop. If I want a current of 1 milliampere to be flowing through this loop, then with what velocity this loop is to be moved along this direction? This is the question, right? So this length of this square metallic loop, it's given to be 10 centimeter. Well, let's write down the given information. Length is 10 centimeter, which is 0.1 meter, right? V, with what velocity or speed the loop has to be moved so as to have a steady current of 1 milliampere. So this is to be calculated. This is to be found. And students, current, the current which we require is the current which get induced in the coil. It should be 1 milliampere. It is 1 into 10 raised to power minus 3 ampere. Now the resistance of the square loop, resistance of this loop, resistance of the square loop, it is given to be 1 ohm, right? Now let us determine the resistance of this network. Let's find out the resistance of this network. Resistance of the network. Okay, let's find out the resistance of this network. This is point B. This is point A, right? Now let's find out the effective resistance to the points A and B. These are the 4 resistors which are connected in the form of a bridge. These are the 4 resistors connected in the form of a bridge. And this is the 5th one. Each is having value of 3 ohm. Right, now look. P by Q is equal to R by X. So it's actually a balanced Wheatstone bridge. It is the case of a balanced Wheatstone bridge. So 3 by 3 is equal to 3 by 3. So it is the case of a balanced Wheatstone bridge. It is the case of a balanced Wheatstone bridge, right? So in such a case, these 2 points, suppose it is M and it is N. Now since it is the case of balanced bridge, therefore potential at point M, it should be equal to potential at point N, isn't it? So there is no potential difference at the ends of this resistor, right? Therefore no current will flow through it. Therefore its equivalent diagram would be like this. This is point B, this is point A. It should be like this. No current will flow through the branch MN, right? So this is it. 3, 3, 3, 3. Now these two are connected in series. 3, 3 will give us 6. These two are connected in series. 3 and 3, that will again give us 6. 6 and 6. This is B and this is suppose point A. Now it will be like this. 3 and 3. These two are connected in series. Therefore it will give us 6 ohm. And these two, 3 and 3 are connected in series. It will give us 6 ohm. 6 and 6 are connected in parallel. Therefore effective resistance between the points A and B, it would be equal to 3 ohm. Right? 6 and 6, they are connected in parallel. So the resultant would be equal to half of the individual value. Clear? Okay. So total net resistance. Total resistance, it would be equal to the resistance of the square loop plus resistance of this network. So the resistance of this network between the points A and B, that we have calculated to be 3. So it is equal to 1 plus 3. It is equal to 4 ohm. Clear, students? Now, as this loop is moved, then due to the motional EMF, an induced current will get established, right? And the magnitude of the induced EMF, the magnitude of the motional EMF is given by BVL, and hence induced current, it would be given by BVL divided by net resistance, that is the total resistance of the entire system, right? We are supposed to calculate the value of V, velocity. So it would be equal to I into R total divided by magnetic field multiplied by length of this square loop, right? So let's substitute these values over here and we should get the speed with which this metallic loop needs to be moved, right? So current, it's given to be milliampere, 10 raised to the power minus 3. Net resistance of the entire thing, that is given to be 4. Strength of the magnetic field, that is given to be 2 Tesla. And the length, this length I'm talking about, it is given to be 0.1 meter. So what do we get? 2 into 10 raised to the power minus 2 meter per second, or it may be written as 2 centimeter per second. So students, in case this square metallic wire is moved with a constant velocity of 2 centimeter per second, then it will result in an induced current of magnitude 1 milliampere. So it was a very, very interesting and very good question. Okay, now let's proceed to question number 4. In question number 4, we are supposed to compute the mutual inductance for a given pair of coils if the increase in the current from 2 ampere to 6 ampere in 0.1 second in one coil causes an induced EMF of 1 volt in the other coil. So there are 2 coils involved. The change in the current in one coil produces an induced EMF in the other coil. So it must be the case of mutual induction, right? So in the case of mutual inductance, we know that the induced EMF, it is given by minus M di by dt. Isn't it? This is the formula to be used. Di by dt represents the time rate change in the current in the primary coil, and E is the EMF induced in the secondary coil, that is in the neighboring coil. So here we are supposed to find out the value of the mutual inductance. So M, it will be equal to minus E divided by di by dt. Am I clear? The negative sign obviously suggests the opposing nature of the induced EMF. Induced EMF, students, always is of opposing nature, and hence induced current is also always of opposing nature. It always acts in a direction opposite to which the magnetic flux changes, isn't it? So let's concentrate on this. Induced EMF, it is given to be 1 volt. So let's substitute the value. Di by dt. Di is a change in the current. So increase in the current from 2 ampere to 6 ampere. Change is always final value minus initial value. So this is 6 minus 2. This is the change in the current. And this change in the current is taking place in 0.1 seconds. So this will be it. Right? So let's try to evaluate it further. Therefore, mutual inductance, it will be equal to in magnitude. Right? So we can avoid this negative sign. Right? Negative signs only suggest that the EMF induced is of opposing nature. So we can consider the magnitude M. So it will be 1 by, this is 4, and 0.1 goes in the numerator. So we'll get 1 by 40. And obviously the SI unit of mutual induction between the 2 coils is Henry. So this is the answer. So in this case, the mutual inductance between the pair of coils is 1 by 40 Henry, right? Okay, Let's proceed to question number 5 then. A coil of 100 turns, let me write down the given information. Number of turns, it's given to be 100. Area of each turn is given to be 0.1 meters square. And it is in a magnetic field of induction. Magnetic field of induction, it's actually the magnetic field. If you have got any confusion, just observe the unit. Weber per meter square, it's actually Tesla. 1 Tesla is Weber per meter square, right? So it's the SI unit of magnetic field. So this is the magnetic field strength given. So magnetic field strength is 4 into 10 to the power minus 3 Weber per meter square. It can be also written as Tesla. Now if the coil is reversed in a time of 50 milliseconds, this is the time in which the coil is reversed like this. It is reversed, right? So the time is 50 milliseconds. That is 50 into 10 to the power minus 3 seconds. Calculate the EMF induced in it. The magnitude, the magnetic field is perpendicular to the plane of the coil, obviously. So this is the scenario. This is suppose a coil of 100 turns, right? This is a coil of 100 turns, 100 identical turns. This is suppose the first phase, the top one, and this is the below one, second. This is the first condition. And let us consider the magnetic field to be perpendicular like this. This is the perpendicular magnetic field. So what about the area vector over here? This, we are considering the first phase, right? So area vector would be along this direction. We are considering the first one, first phase, the top one. So flux, initial flux, it is equal to N B vector dot A vector. So what's the angle between these two? Flux is actually the scalar product of magnetic field and area vector. In case the coil consists of n identical turns, then the net flux will become n times the flux associated with a single turn, isn't it? So what's the angle between the magnetic field and the area vector over here? It's 0 degree. So it will be N B A cos 0. Cos 0 is 1. So we get N B A. Clear? Now let's consider the second scenario. Now what happens is this coil is reversed. It's reversed like this. It is reversed like this in 50 milliseconds. In 50 milliseconds. So now the diagram would be like this. The same coil having 100 identical turns. Now it is reversed. So the lower one will become the first one and second one. This will get interchanged, isn't it? The magnetic field, it will remain in the same direction, obviously. But here we are considering the first phase, right? So its area vector would now in the downward direction like this. Area vector of a given phase is always perpendicular and in the outward direction. So now what's the angle between these two? It is 180 degree. So that is the point to be noted down over here. So the final magnetic flux, it would be given by N B vector dot A vector, right? So here students, what we get is N is the number of turns, BA, here the angle between the magnetic field and the area vector, we are considering the first phase, right? So it is 180 degree. It is reversed. So the angle, final angle is 180 degree. Cos 180 degree is minus 1. So it will be minus NBA. I hope it's pretty clear. So initial magnetic flux and the final magnetic flux. That we are done with, right? Now it's time to find out the EMF induced in it. Now look students, the EMF induced, it's given by minus, in case the coil consists of n identical turns, then it is phi f minus phi I divided by T. Isn't it? This is the formula. This is the time rate change in the magnetic flux. Negative sign suggests its opposing nature. So let's try to solve it. Minus, what is phi f? It is minus NBA. Minus, what is phi I? Again NBA. divided by T. So, induced EMF, it is equal to, what we get is minus twice NBA, and here it is minus, so it will get compensated. We get twice NBA divided by T. Now we are aware of every value. Let's substitute it. Number of turns, that's given to be 100, isn't it? Strength of the magnetic field, that's given to be 4 into 10 raised to power minus 3. Area, that's given to be 0.1. And finally, the time in which the coil is reversed, that's going to be 50 milliseconds. That is 50 into 10 raised to power minus 3. Now it can be easily solved, right? So let's try to solve it. 50 to 100, 2 to 4, 4 to ja, 4 4 ja, 16. So what we get is 16 into 10 raised to power minus 3 into 0.1 divided by 10 raised to power minus 3. So 10 raised to minus 3, 10 raised to minus 3 get cancelled. So therefore, we get induced EMF is equal to 16 into 0.1. So that will give us 1.6 volt. So students, this is the answer. Right? So in this question, the main point to be noted was initially the angle between magnetic field and the area vector is 0 degree. But when the coil is reversed, then the angle between the magnetic field and the area vector becomes 180 degree. So that's the point which is to be noted down in this particular question. So students, I hope you have gained sufficient knowledge and gained confidence while observing how to solve these numericals, right? So as I've always stated, do practice as many numericals as possible. So that's it for this particular session. Do join me in my next lecture then. Till then, goodbye and do take very good care of yourself. Thank you.